Well, when I was 12 years old, I woke up one evening. It was a Thursday night on the 10th of May, and I just heard my mom screaming my dad's name. So I got up and I ran into the room, and I saw my father lying on the bed with his arm outstretched. And my mom told me to run and to try and get help. By the time the ambulance arrived, my dad was already dead. I didn't know it at the time, but that night probably changed a lot in my life, and I think I really put up walls around myself that I didn't even realize, just to stop the pain. I went to high school. I was 13 years old. I started drinking and I started smoking, and a girl came and sat next to me, and she started chatting to me, and I was actually relatively still quite innocent in my thought process. I'd never met a lesbian before that I knew of, and I somehow ended up being drawn into a relationship with her. What I didn't know at the time, that she was quite heavily involved in the occult and Satanism. But things didn't go well from there. The whole relationship, it was just doomed for disaster, really. It was very possessive, and she was very possessive and very jealous and very, very violent. And yet I was so desperate for love that I'd allowed myself to get into this relationship. I think getting into that relationship in the first place was just because I wanted to be loved. It wasn't any other reason. Somehow in the back of my mind, I started praying, God, you've got to help me, because I honestly didn't see a way out. I didn't see my way clear. I knew this woman would kill me. I was numb. I had no feelings. I couldn't laugh. I couldn't cry. I had no more friends anymore. I just wouldn't go anywhere during, our relationship, because I would do anything to avoid an argument or the consequence of me speaking to somebody else and what that might do. And in February of 2005, I made a decision. I just thought, well, you know what? This is not being truth. I've never been gay. I've never wanted to be gay. That's just something I've told myself. I want a husband. I wanted children, and that's what I want from life. This life that I've been leading for the last 15 years has not been me. It's just been someone else. But I was convinced that because of my past and all the demonic activity, I'm just so sure that I was so bad. I'd sinned so much. I think what would this God of love want anything to do with me? I was just the world's most rotten person, and I was convinced that my prayers were just hitting the ceiling. And I bumped into a girl that used to be a bar lady in a bar I used to drink in North London, and she'd given her life to Jesus about a year before, and I just saw something different about her. Her eyes were all sparkly and she was all happy, and I'm like, wow, this doesn't look like the same girl I knew. In any case, she took me to church one Sunday with her, and it was a big, happy, clappy church. Man, I was so overwhelmed. The thing that caught my attention was I looked around me, and what I saw was something I'd been missing for the last 15 years, because I just wasn't in that environment, and that was family. I was missing family. Around me there were young people, husbands and wives that I could clearly see loved each other with children, and they were full of joy. I saw something in their eyes that I didn't have, and I wanted it. And I just cried and cried and cried as God's love started touching me and started healing all of my pain. And I was walking home that day, and God spoke into my heart. It was the Bible tells us that God removes the scales from our eyes. It was like a light switch that had been off, and someone just simply switched it on. And in that very minute, I found what I'd been looking for my whole life. I found love, joy, peace, and acceptance.